Every day I see countless Madden players making the same huge mistake on defense that loses them games. So in this video, I'm going to break down the #1 mistake I see Madden players make when playing defense and how to fix it. Looking for Madden 23 Ultimate Team coins? AOEAH.com is the cheapest and most reliable coins on the market. Click the link in the description and use coupon code SPORTS for 3% off your order. Yo, YouTube, what is up? It's your boy Duke, back here from SportsGamers.com. And listen, we've all heard so many players over and over again say, hey, match coverage is broken, or hey, why can't I stop corner routes in man coverage, or why does this player's man coverage work better than mine? And the answer to that is 99% of Madden players out there, even pro players I see, have no idea how to shade their zone coverage or their man coverage or their match coverage properly. There's a huge misconception in the Madden community when it comes to shading coverage and how it affects different coverages. Most people don't understand these rules and don't know the best way to use it. Therefore, their coverage does not work as good as it could. So in this Madden 23 video, I'm going to break down the biggest mistakes people make in coverage with their shading and how to fix them. So we're going to look at mainly match coverage and man. We're going to look at match first, and then we're going to get into man after that. So for the purpose of this video, I did pick the 4-6 playbook on defense. But these tips are universal. It doesn't matter what playbook you use. You could use any playbook, actually multiple formations. But when you are using zone, make sure to go into your coaching adjustments and turn your zone coverage setting to match. Okay? So for match, we're going to look at nickel over cover 4 quarters. And I just got to tell you guys, this is probably my biggest pet peeve in Madden this year. There's become a narrative where you hear people say over and over again, some people, hey, never shade your zone coverage. Never shade your coverage when you're in match. Never do it. Just never do it. That's 100% wrong, terrible advice. And when you hear people say that, it's just being lazy. Because there are definitely situations where you should not shade your coverage in match, but there are other situations where you need to. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to defend certain concepts the best you could. So I'm going to go over some of the concepts that actually require quarter flats and explain why. And then I'm going to also explain how shading your coverage in zone also can help you stop some of the actually toughest money plays in the game when you're playing match. So let's get into that now. Before we do, I do want to remind you guys, I do free Madden 23 tip videos and gameplays on my channel. So if you enjoy my content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment. All that does help me out a lot, and it's free to do. So, one of the things about match coverage, you see people say, oh, it's broken, it's broken, it's broken. No, they just don't understand what they're doing. And a great example of that would be how the quarter flats play. So most people think of the quarter flats as simply discarding the flats. And I mean, if we're going to take a simplified view of it, yeah, typically they are responsible for defending the first offensive player that hits the flat on the side of the field, this guy on the left, this guy on the right. But there's way more to it than that. Sometimes, against certain route combos, they can match the players vertically down the field. So, if you run into something like that, where the quarter flat needed to match someone vertically, and you shaded your coverage, a hard flat or a cloud flat, they're not going to match vertically. So, yeah, you could definitely give up a one-play touchdown and think your coverage was busted. But not every play or route combination is going to require your quarter flat to match vertically. So when people say, oh, never do this or never do that, there's no never in Madden. You have to adjust accordingly, and people like that, they just don't understand what they're talking about. So we got to break the myth right here for you guys. So first of all, when do you need quarter flats? Simply put, when you need the quarter flat to defend a route concept properly, is going to need to match vertically. So a great example of that will be a play like mesh out a bunch. So mesh out a bunch, if I was to put my running back on a wheel route, definitely would need to have the quarter flat. Because if I did shade my coverage to get a hard flat or cloud flat, he would just initially guard the wheel route as it hit the flat, but then it would let it go. And remember, in match coverage, your safeties and your deep zones, your quarter zones, they match. They convert to man. So a situation like this, your drag, it's going to get matched by that outside corner. So if I don't have a quartered zone, no one is really going to guard that wheel route, right? Just like that, that's going to be a huge touchdown. So in situations like that, yeah, you definitely need your quarter flats when you need them to match vertically. So sure, in a situation like I just did, you will definitely need your quarter flat because you need him to match vertically on that wheel route. You definitely do. And if you don't have him there, as you guys can see, that's when people say, oh, match coverage is broken and just gave up a free touchdown type thing. But, you actually leave him on the quarter flat, he matches, that's bagged up, you can't throw that. So, in certain situations, sure, that is actually very useful. As you guys can see here, you guys can see everyone's matched up perfectly. But every route concept is different. And I'm about to show you guys one of the most popular plays in the game, where if you just play your quarter flats with no shading, you're going to get killed. So, what is one of the most popular plays in the game right now? Bench. Bench. Everybody runs a variation of bench that's good on offense. And the thing about bench is, people just come to the line to quick stat. Maybe they send the running back out of the backfield on a text route or a streak or just something, right? And if you just, follow the never shade your match coverage thing, not everyone, certain players just want to create a certain narrative of which is completely false, you're going to get killed. And here's why. As you guys can see here, quarter flats, again, they're designed to take away the first guy in the flat the majority of the time. In a situation like bench, well, that's the out route. Looking to become a better Madden player and win more games? Check out sportsgamers.com. I built sportsgamers.com from the ground up to give you the best Madden tips, best Madden ebooks, all at the best price, bar none. We have a VIP membership that gives you access to the entire site, every ebook and every tip we release all year long for only $24.99. Click the link in the description. I've also pinned it in the comments, and use coupon code DUKE for 10% off your order. As you guys can see here, they have no shot of guarding an out route. No shot. Because they're playing it as if it's man. They're not just sprinting out to the flat. They're playing it as it's man, so they're just never going to get there. They're never going to get there in time, ever. So those out routes, if I see someone in match and I know they don't know what they're doing, I spam bench because I know that they can't guard the out routes, right? So that's pretty an easy example, right? Bench out routes. And it's one of the most popular plays in the game that, like I said, any good player runs right now. So quarter flats do a terrible job. Why? Because, again, they're out leveraged and they're playing essentially man coverage. It does not even matter if you move them out, a couple of yards. They're still going to get beat 9 times out of 10. They can't guard that because they're playing it as if it's man, right? They're not just thinking, hey, let me guard the flat. They're like, no, let me man up, essentially. So how do you stop that? Well, literally, this is why sometimes you need to shade. So you guys can see with this route combo, there's no need for my quarter flats to match vertically. They just need to get out to the flat, right? So in a situation where you're facing a route combo where there's no need for them to match vertically, and you're just simply getting beat into the flats, which happens on a lot of plays this year that a lot of pros and good players run. Literally, you can play your match coverage, but just shade down to turn the quarter flats into hard flats. Now, if I just simply shade my flats underneath and play the middle, I turn my quarter flats into hard flats. Now they can't just spam out routes on me. Look, they try to throw this out route. I'm there. I'm on both out routes. I actually got sacked before I could get the ball off, but I'll do it one more time for y'all so you can see it again. I'm just shading my coverage underneath, and now they actually get out there, and I can play the middle and not have to worry about these out routes. Look, if I try to throw that out route, he's right there. That's a pick 6. Horrible, horrible read, right? And that's just simply the difference in having quarter flats or hard flats. There's a purpose for each assignment in the game. And it's never correct to say never do this or never do that, because there's a purpose for everything. And if you never adjust, you're not going to be able to defend certain concepts. So you guys can see here, that actually defended it much better. Now, there's actually much more that people do wrong in match coverage. This is just with the quarter flats and hard flats and the shading. So now that you kind of understand that, I want to talk about the deep zones. So guys, there's much more to defending bench, obviously, than just outs. What about the corner routes? A lot of people love playing match because the deep zones match, right? And that's normally good. It's not good when it comes to bench, not at all. Because for whatever reason, when you're playing bench, as you're about to see, the corners almost do nothing on the outside. The outside guys, they almost do nothing. He reacted late, but the outside corners, when you play match and quarters against tight bench, they kind of are in no man's land. What do I mean by that? Well, hold on. Let me show you guys an instant replay. I'm just got to zoom in a little bit more. But they kind of just are delayed in defending anything. You guys can see here, they almost want to guard the out route, but not really. And then at the last second, they're like, oh, actually, I need to go help on the corner route. but then they're just too late. So on each side of the screen, I basically have a situation where if the tight end or slot receiver beats the safety on a corner route, which, well, most of the time they will, let's just be honest, this year's game, we're giving up corner routes every play. So it's more than just knowing how to play the corner flats if you shade. It's also knowing what to do with your deep zones. So if I ever go up against someone spamming bench and they're simply running out routes and corners, what I actually do is I put my outside corners, instead of leaving them in the quarter deep zones that match, which is good a lot of the times, I put them into outside third zones. Because the outside third zones, they will not match. They will never match. And now, I'll basically have my hard flats dropping underneath the outs. I can play the middle. And then I'll have the safeties that are supposedly matching on the corner routes. But I will also have the deep zones, the outside thirds by the corners. They will literally just drop underneath the corner routes on both sides of the screen, essentially resulting in double coverage on the corner routes. So, as you guys can see in the replay, that's completely bagged. But once again, not that simple. It's because this game is a game of chess. It's all about adjustment. So, if I see someone doing this, if I recognize this is what's happening on offense, look. See how now the deep zones, because I put them in outside thirds instead of leaving them in the quarter matching zones, they actually just drop underneath the corner routes, resulting in a double team because the safeties are still matching. So neither one of them are open. However, if I recognize somebody doing this, what could I do? What could I do? Well, if I was on offense and I recognize this, and we're going to do the same adjustment, simply I can do a streak route on the short side of the field. Because now that streak route will run off the corner. So now I'm back to the one-on-one situation with the safety. However, you will see that even if they do this, over here, that safety's in much better position because he played it differently, knowing that the deep zone was there. He didn't get beat so easily. Now, it didn't matter over here because I just did it on the one side of the field. But you guys can see, plays it much differently. So that's just kind of a brief overview of some of the mistakes I see people playing in match. Like I said, it's all about adjustment. You can never just call your match stock and not adjust your zones, not shade. That's just complete BS. That's not true. You have to adjust your match based upon route concept, and that's just a few quick examples of that. Now I want to get into man coverage because the man coverage is just as annoying to me as match, because all of a sudden now we got the narrative in man coverage, oh, just shade your man coverage down every single play. Yeah, shading down is good, but it serves a purpose. It's not universal. So let me explain why. Let's just get in gun bunch first. So, first of all, shading down, what does it actually defend well? Well, shading down defends well, like quick passes to the flat, right? Quick routes over the middle, like slants, like quick routes, basically. So in a situation like this, if I'm in, a blitz and, I'm getting killed, or any sort of man coverage, and I'm getting killed by these quick flat passes, what should I do? I should shade underneath. But if I'm going to shade underneath, I have to make sure I don't have any safeties manned up on people. And I'm going to explain why in a second. But shading underneath your coverage will, in effect, allow you to take away these quick throws. Look, you throw that, that's a pick. So, what do I mean by you can't have any safeties manned up? So if you shade your coverage underneath and you have any sort of safety manned up on anybody. So like here, I shaded underneath. I have this safety manned up on the slot receiver, right? Look what happens. If you shade underneath with a safety manned up on somebody and they run a streak route, you're giving up a touchdown. Okay? Or at least a huge play. Why? Because if you guys see here what happens when you shade your coverage underneath and you have safeties manned up on people, they jump down super, super, super hard. So you never want to shade your coverage underneath with a safety manned up on somebody because they will jump down super, super hard and give up free touchdowns. That also is important to note. You don't want to shade your coverage underneath if somebody is running corner routes. I mean, it just drives me crazy when I see this. Like, shading your coverage underneath of corner routes just lets the corner route run right by it, even after the press. So you don't want to do that either. When somebody is running corner routes on you guys, you have to make sure you shade your coverage outside. never shade your coverage underneath against the corner route. I mean, because then you're just going to need somebody else to help defend it once it breaks open. The other thing is, it's not as simple as shading your coverage. Don't shade your coverage underneath of safeties. There's more to it than that. Do not shade your coverage underneath if you have backed up defenders. That's the other rule. Because I've noticed a lot of people lately backing up their man coverage and, doing things like this. And there's actually a reason why people have been doing this. It's kind of high level. But if you back your coverage up and you shade your coverage underneath, just because, you might give up a flat route, you know what you're going to give up? Maybe a touchdown on a corner route or a C route. You see what I mean? They just literally run underneath the corner route or the C route, and if I got a bad throw. But if that's an accurate throw, that's a free touchdown. So the rule of thumb here is, again, know when to shade your coverage in what situations. Do not be one of these robots who simply saw someone say, "Hey, shade your coverage down in man," or "never shade in match," because you're gonna lose games. So when it comes to man coverage, you can never shade your coverage underneath if one or two things. If you have a safety manned up on somebody, or if you have your corners and man, even if they're outside corners, backed up to safety depth, basically. Anybody backed up at safety depth, manned up, whether it's a safety or outside corner, if you shade your coverage underneath, it's flying down. So what's going to happen is you're going to give up free touchdowns on streaks or corners or C routes. When to actually shade your coverage down is when you have players in press positions. Everybody's in a press position. And you want to stop quick routes, flats, wheels, slants, outs, ins, right? Not deep routes. So again, very situational, but when you know how to use it, it's going to be very effective. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this kind of exposed some of the myths when it comes to coverage this year and how to shade and when to shade and all those things. If you did, smash that like button. It's Duke. I'm out of here. We'll see y'all next time.